Jenna, let's start with, why do people struggle with this topic so much? Why is the sensory system such a struggle, especially for our children?
So everybody is unique, and that doesn't exclude our bodies and how they're made and how they interpret kind of our world. And so you see kids react differently to sounds and to things they see and to noises. And you're seeing that as kind of a reaction to their sensory system. So a lot of their behaviors that they're showing or demonstrating is actually caused by that input from their surroundings and from the environment.
Now, what are some of the signs? I know everyone is unique and every child and body handles things differently, but what are the common signs that a person can be struggling that you look for?
So there's two real big differences. There's the kids that are overstimulated, and then there's kids that are understimulated, and they look completely different. So these kids, kids can be both at different times of the day and in different outings and experiences and situations. So you just have to kind of know what to look for. When they're understimulated, this is usually missed by a lot of people because those kids are usually calm. Understimulated, they're running around and they're trying to get attention. Sometimes people say they're attention seeking, but they're not. They're just trying to wake their bodies up. So you'll see kids that are running around or fidgeting or moving back and forth. And I know you said that you had talked about the vestibular system last time. So a lot of that understimulation is kids that need more input in the vestibular way. Also the tactile way, the touching, the patting, that sort of stuff. And then the overstimulated kids are the ones that are seeking to like retreat out of the room or kind of go off in a quiet corner, or they're melting down because they don't know what to do.
We have one that actually leaves school and gets home, takes off his socks and goes straight to the trampoline. And mom didn't realize until last month how important that was.
Right. It's so important because he's been working so hard at school all day long to try to pay attention and try to stay calm. And then you see that release when they come home. It's like all of this energy and they need to regain that focus. And the way they do that is by taking movement breaks, basically. And so
right.
You're seeing a lot of those in movement with the trampoline. I work with infants and toddlers, especially, so it looks totally different. But even just heavy work and carrying stuff back and forth, and just anything where you're using your muscles is going to help those kids.
I love Riley's teacher, and I talk about it often, but she does this neat thing. The whole school does it, which I absolutely love. They do what's called brain breaks.
Oh, fun.
They use the big board, and the teacher plays music.
Oh, yeah.
They practice little songs and do the little dance. Like they did the Kiki. They did the what does a fox say? And it gives them, when she notices them getting to the point where they need that, she'll stop class and actually do a song or two. And then she finds that the focus comes right back.
Right. It just kind of re-energizes you.
And another thing that they're actually noticing that I'm recommending to all parents talk to your schools about, our kids are testing higher when they're given the brain breaks before a test.
Yes.
It's an amazing thing, and people don't think about it, but Gina, you realize that it is huge.
It is huge. Even just that affects their attention span so much. If they have that opportunity to take a break and to really increase their awareness in their entire body, and that's what is happening when they take those movement breaks. They're like those songs. If they're hitting the drums or they're shaking instruments, you're seeing that actively. Their active response is to actually concentrate and calm down. So even for like little kids, if you're trying to get them to do something or to sit at dinner, to eat or get in the car or something like that, then having them do one of those really active activities before those types of transitions, they will most likely cooperate with that a little bit better because their bodies are ready to engage.
Right. I'm just going to jump to the comments for a minute. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Many of you know I am on medical treatments for a rare disease. My hair was falling out, so I took it off at my own desire. So yes, there's a big difference this week than there has been in the last few shows. I know we have Stephanie watching. Stephanie's excited. She does a lot of these sensory things through the school district she works for. I just want to bring up the fact that she has mentioned something called Go Noodle. You can go to, Jason just put on the screen. It's www.gonoodle.com. It is free to use. You can use it at home or at school. The teachers can use it at school. Again, Gina, you know every resource available is wonderful to have.
Yes. And you know what could work one day for your child? They may not be interested in it the next day or even hour by hour. So, which we all know, you know, and as they grow, something that worked for them when they were 2 is going to look different when they're 5 or 6 or 7. So having a whole bunch of different resources is very...
And when they hit puberty, it's even better.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, folks. We hit puberty and I'm not liking it. Chris Mills says that she's a school bus driver, that she has kids who remove their socks and shoes on the bus. Again, it's that break. They need that. They've been cooped up all day and they need that chance to just release. And for some, removing their footwear is, Riley does it. She'll walk in the door, shoes come off, socks come off.
Right. Right. It's just... If you think about when you're in a room, and I don't know if we're going to talk about this later, but in a room and you're so intensely focused on something, and all day you try to keep yourself together because you know the expectations of the situation, and it's really, really hard for you to do that. And so when you have any second where it's kind of those rules and that environment is let out, you're going to just relax, and part of that's what you're seeing on the bus is the kids are like, okay, I'm out of school now.
Exactly.
This is just my kind of way of loosening up a little bit. Yeah.
Now, Chris actually recently left school for an ABA center and is thrilled because they gave lots more movement breaks through the ABA. And you will find that traditional schools have to follow a set curriculum. They have to follow all these rules and guidelines, and they don't always have time to throw those movement breaks in.
Right.
Where ABA follows a more relaxed time frame because they concentrate more on the task than the time.
And they're more focused on the individual children versus the class as a whole. And I think that ABA or whatever kind of, if you have an IEP and they're giving extra support to in the class, having that as part of their IEP is a really good idea. Just say, we want to make sure that these breaks are built into their day somehow. Either if they're overstimulated or understimulated, and so that they can come back and focus. And a lot of teachers are really good about identifying when that's happening. And having an aide or having somebody support them.
Right. And parents, I want you to know that you can do that. You can request, like Gina said, these movement breaks in the IEP. And like I always say, do not be afraid to ask for something in the IEP. If you really feel it'll help, the worst they can do is say no, but at least you can open up a conversation and maybe eventually they'll say that, see that you were right.
And for an IEP goal, it's an attention goal. So you want to increase your child's attention span for X amount of minutes or whatever. And so to do that, we need to give them breaks, and it could be more often in the